I mean, I guess before we get into this stuff, how was the ceremony? What kind of stood out to you about being over in Springfield and being there with both?
Obviously, he did a great job. It's the most I've ever heard him stay on track. 40 years, and the speech, he did an awesome job. I thought he left my voicemail today. I haven't had a chance to talk to him since we both got back, but no, I think it was a great honor. He obviously did a great job with his presentation and his speech. I think the one thing is I told the team yesterday, what stands out in talking to, whether it's Hall of Famers that are in, or you listen to people's speeches, whether it's Chauncey Billups to Doug Collins to anybody, they all had to overcome some form of adversity, even as a Hall of Famer. And I think that's a great lesson. I always try to take things back to relay to these guys and give them a feel for what it was like, around Larry Bird or Magic or whoever. I mean, that was a who's who for the most part. So just that was one thing that I think resonated in everybody's. It wasn't an easy road to where they got to. But I thought Coach did a great job, and I think that the time I was there on Sunday, everybody did a great job. That was really well done, and obviously a tremendous honor for him.
You've talked about the ways that John has taken stuck with his mindset. It's obviously never been a problem with Max, but as far as increased opportunity, like how could he kind of see a jump there, just with the amount of shots that he could be taking?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to have a number that I'm going to put on what he is. He's still working his way back. He hasn't been with us full time. Maybe the last 2 days is the most he's had. So I think for him, he's still trying to. He was better today than what he was over the weekend or last Friday. So I think there's him still getting back into the rhythm of sitting out quite a bit. We're still working his way back and not throwing him completely into everything. But that'll find its way. Offense always organically finds its places that should have come from. Obviously, he's got experience, so that's the one thing he's really confident. And that's what you want in a shooter and older guys. He plays fearless, and he's continuing to do that.
Given the way that Jack kind of just seems to stick his face in the fan and contribute almost every aspect, is he a guy you could potentially see being tough to leave on the bench at times this year?
Potentially. I mean, there's a battle there. I think for a variety of positions. It's not just 2 or 3 guys battling for one player spots. It's I think across the board. You can shift positions to make other guys available. So yeah, Jack's competing, and Jack does things that maybe don't jump off the page, but he makes a lot of winning kind of plays. His numbers may not jump off the page when you look at a box score, but he's doing a lot of things that winning teams do.
Similar thing with John Tonzo. You talked about playing with the floor, so is that because you're trying to find ways to get high floor?
I mean, it's matchup determined too. At times, we can play a little smaller. A lot of teams are doing that. They're playing 4 guards and 4 perimeters around the so I think just trying to find our ways to put our best lineup on the floor. What is our best lineup? Is it going bigger? Is it playing smaller? Is it somewhere in between? I think we're still evolving and trying to find exactly what's the best. What maybe the first 5 minutes of the game might be different than the first 5 minutes of the second half. I'm still learning. I got some guys that I know are going to be on the floor regardless of the lineup, but how it mixes and matches around those 2 or 3 guys, we're still learning.
Where do you think you're at in your point guard assessment? Obviously, you still have a ways to go. Hunter and McGee, just because of their experience, guys that feel like...
Yeah, McGee is consistently separated himself. I think he's been the most consistent, and quite frankly, has played the best over the 2 weeks so far. So, and again, another thing that hasn't been always numbers dependent, but the leadership, the vocalization. A lot of that is because of his experience. Hunter's played 2 years in college, he hasn't been here. Cam McGee has a little leg up in that, so he knows he's comfortable who he's playing with and in what we want.
So is this job to me?
We're still a ways from November 4th. We'll see what happens tomorrow.
John Tonje, Xavier Amos, seemed like today both of them, got their opportunities from deep. How does that spacing kind of help you set kind of your lineups in a way when you know that they both have that opportunity?
We tried to intentionally, as we built this roster, make sure we had shooting at the forward spots, and that's something that I think if you look at where the game has gone to, you need the more shooting you have on the floor, the better. But you have to be able to do other things too. So the ability to defend and rebound at that 4 position. Nolan Winter has by far and away led us in rebounding through the whole. Second isn't close, so he's really attacked the ball pretty well. So I mean, you have to be able to do a lot of things. It's not just the shooting. That's great, but if you can't defend and rebound, and we can't give up more than we get. So I think they all compete, and they all bring it something a little different. Winter and Crowell looks different and it feels different than Winter and Crowell and Tanji or Crowell and Amos. So I think it's, like I said, we're still figuring out what is the best combination. And quite frankly, it's changed by the day because the guys have played a little better or have stayed, haven't taken a step, and then the next day they take 2 steps. So you're just trying to find that consistency. And I think Blackwell, Crowell, McGee probably have been the most consistent. Klusman obviously has been in and out of the lineup a lot, so he hasn't had a chance to maybe settle in as much as those other 3 older guys have done or experienced guys. But so it's a good problem to have, and I have options, and they're battling it out.
Greg, as time has gone on a little bit through practice, I know there's still plenty of time, but where have you seen Ricardo get a little bit more comfortable, maybe confident? It seemed like he made a little more impact, especially with his playmaking, a little bit of the scrimmage.
Yeah, I think he's not pausing and trying to overthink things as much. He has a flair for the dramatic, which is common for players from Italy. They play with he's going to throw some that might my blood pressure go up a little bit. But I got to find the balance between what he should be doing and what he can get away with. And there's things, the game is a little different. Spacing's I think that's been an adjustment for him. How fast the game is, as I mentioned before, he's mentioned that's been an adjustment. I think he's gotten more accustomed with that. He's gotten more comfortable with the bodies and arms flying around him. I think the physicality of the game has been something for him. Not that he has to learn how to be more physical, and he can be because he's a pretty big kid. But I think just he's gotten more comfortable, which has allowed him to slow down and not play as rushed.
Last year we saw, you guys use a more of a traditional point guard a lot of the time on the floor. We saw a lot of Max and John handling the ball today. Do you think you'd feel more comfortable this year, maybe not using a traditional point guard as much, given how they've been able to handle the ball?
Yeah, situation dependent, really. I think in transition, you're likely to see John or Max more with it, depending on who gets out early in transition or who's near the rebounding, who has the rebound. If one of those 2 guys obviously rebounded themselves, it makes sense for them to let them bring it. But it's really situational dependent. I think I'm comfortable with either one of them there. I don't know if they're going to be there right out of the gate, but I think you have to have multiple ball handlers on the floor. I think playing 2 point guards together or 2 combos together is not. If we're not really that dependent on one player constantly the way we should. If we're moving the ball well, we shouldn't have to over dribble, or we shouldn't be over dribbling. We're not very good offensively when we over dribble. Our best days have been probably the minimal amount of dribbles on the floor when balls popped and our bigs have found each other in some high lows, and guards have made good decisions off dribble attacks and playing a ball screen. So it's really the amount of dribbles per possession probably equates to points per possession dropping, quite frankly.
Kamari probably has the most experience. Do you need a guy with that type of experience on the floor, even though you have guys that can the ball?
I mean, most of the game is an organic flow. You're going to have some late possessions where you want the ball in playmakers' hands, and obviously I think I have multiple of those guys that have been in that situation before. So it varies. We still haven't worked a lot of late game situations yet. And really, we're going to find that out. Who can make shots and who can make plays as we get a little closer here. I'll put them in the right situations. I want to see who can make shots. And can answer when the time comes.
So reference to have Winter at the floor. I know it's situational. Are you any closer on the
Played
backup?
well. I think I'm a little closer in my mind, but I think he's played really well. He's really, I think, in the last 8 to 10 days, taken a jump. I've seen him play more physical and more aggressive. I mentioned the rebounding stats. Really, I think, caught us all by surprise how much he had rebounded the ball, specifically defensively. And he's done some good things. He's still learning. He's not where he needs to be yet. He won't be. He's going to be a good player. I don't know if it'll happen in November or February or 2025, or 2026. But he's trending in the right direction. At 7 feet, his skill set, you just got to keep feeding him, literally, but also just help him keep growing his game. He's done a better job of playing off 2 feet, going through contact. He's had more big plays in the last week than a year and a half in pilots. That's a good sign.
What's your assessment of Ricardo Gilmore? It seems like he's coming out of the shell more active,
Yeah.
shot like
You know, he just makes, he just creates hustle opportunities. He made a possession saving play yesterday. You guys weren't in. He dove for a ball, saved it from going out of bounds, and he scrambles this way. He ended up getting a wide open three. And the result of his hustle is he does those things that I think we need him to do in that role. It won't be glamorous. It's going to be hard to have lunch pail and playing hard. So he is more comfortable. He's coming out of his shell, so to speak. If there is such a thing, but I think his energy and how hard he plays is infectious. It's numerous times since extended possessions on popping an offensive rebound or popping a defensive rebound loose and getting another possession for the offense. So numerous times I've seen him right up for and say extended possessions. He just does little things that you need to have success.
It's been the challenge of bringing 7 newcomers in with a different level of defensive background, blending them with your group, and how has that gone
Yeah,
over the last 2.5 weeks?
They've done a good job. There's obviously mistakes. We had all 7 return. It's about building habits, and understanding why the system is in place that it is. And it's individually within it. Some can roll the dice more than others. There's recovery time, and size, and foot speed, and length, and all those things. They're still learning what the limitations are, and what their extensions are to defensively. But we're getting better. You saw some of the more perfect possessions. The newer guys don't understand why it's not easy to have it to go along the house to those type of things, limitations. Ball watch or person watch. Specifically, I see the older guys are better at, which they should be. They've had more experience. They've had multiple years in here and know the hows and whys, and that game experience. It'll in a practice, but then we need to play somebody else. October 26th, play more than 2. We need to see some competition. So I get match a lot. We're at a point where we need to test it on the outside.
Last
year, my next thing against we need more than 2. Why we're stuck on 2. Quite frankly, it doesn't make a lot of sense.
Last week, we talked about Steve wanting him to get the ball every 2 to 3 possessions. How do you kind of balance him getting his scoring opportunities versus kicking out to shooters when you have as many on this team?
I mean, that's his field. I mean, that's his decisions. We want him aggressive. There's not too many times, probably in 2.5 weeks of practice, that I've told him he should have passed it or he should have passed it. He's really cerebral. He's getting more selfish, which is good. But he's a very willing, able, passer from that low post. So we got to continue to play through him as much as we can, because it sets up not only his ability to be efficient, but everybody shoots a higher percentage from 3 when the ball comes from the paint. We have to, when you play through him, offense becomes a lot simpler. All good?